And so as to the it's on that for now I want to um Hey guys, welcome back to my series on bipolar disorder. Last week we talked about what mixed episodes are, and I gave you some personal experiences and what it's like for me to help you identify. And this week it was requested that I talk about specifically dating and having bipolar disorder. Now, I have done a video on how to support your loved ones with bipolar disorder, so if you haven't checked that out, I highly suggest you do that first. And also the bipolar 101 video that I've done if you don't know a whole lot about bipolar disorder. So I definitely suggest that you go check those out first. There's a whole playlist for bipolar education that I have on my channel. There's a lot of other videos I've done on there, so let's get to it. I want to preface with I have not ever been engaged or married, so I can't give you personal experience on being engaged to or married to someone who has bipolar disorder, or being engaged or married as someone who has bipolar disorder. I have a lot of dating experience pre-diagnosis and one post-diagnosis, and none of them were great. So I can definitely tell you what not to do and give you some pointers for that, and a recent positive experience that I can talk about. Dating and bipolar disorder. Now, there's something I want to start with, and this is integral to this whole video, and it is directed towards those of us with bipolar disorder. Your bipolar disorder does not make you unlovable or undateable. You deserve unconditional love just like everyone else, regardless of your disorder, regardless of whether you're in an episode or not. You are worthy of love. And if you don't believe that, then it's hard to be happy in a relationship without doubt or anxiety or fear. There are plenty of people who don't care if you have a mood disorder, or have no problem dating someone who has a mood disorder, or doesn't know a whole lot about it, but loves and cares about you and thinks it's absolutely worth it. And if you find someone who makes you feel like you are hard to date or hard to love, or can't handle dating someone who has bipolar disorder, then you don't want them anyways. Trust me, the last thing you want to do is date someone who makes you feel worse about your bipolar disorder, or makes you feel like you're too much, you're a burden, unlovable, or undateable, because none of that is true. If you are heading into a relationship thinking you're hard to love, it's going to be a rough start to a relationship, and you may date someone who has the same incorrect idea that it's hard to date someone with bipolar disorder. Now, it can be challenging depending on the person. You have to come to the conclusion that you deserve unconditional love. Now, with that, you need to take care of your bipolar disorder as best as you can. You need to try to do your best. Now, notice I emphasized try and best, because my best will look different from somebody else's best. It just depends on how our bipolar disorder affects us. And this also goes for people with cyclothymia or unspecified mood disorders. So I want to emphasize that you need to take care of yourself and your bipolar disorder as best as you can. It's not fair for you to use bipolar disorder as a crutch or an excuse to be awful and moody to your partner or anyone. So you need to take care of yourself, especially in a relationship, because as fun and enjoyable as relationships can be, they also require a bit of work, and they can bring up old wounds. You know, when you get in a relationship with someone, you bring up a lot of your own personal baggage, which is fine. You just need to be the best version of yourself so that you're ready to deal with that. It's best to do that before getting into a relationship, but of course starting to do that in a relationship is fine too. Just, you don't want bipolar disorder to take over your life and your relationship. And don't let anyone ever make you feel ashamed for shit you literally cannot control, like your episodes or your moods. Trust me. So, now that we've gotten that out of the way, for those of you who are dating someone with bipolar, don't be a bitch and make them feel ashamed or shame for things they cannot control, such as moods or episodes. If you do not think you are capable of dating someone with bipolar disorder and loving them unconditionally, then do them a favor and don't, because that's really important. So, if you are dating someone who has bipolar disorder, there's some things you need to understand, and I talked about this in my other video, how to support your loved ones with bipolar disorder. You need to understand their episodes. Are they more prone to manic, depressive, or mixed? How long are those episodes? What precedes those episodes? What are signs that they're heading into an episode? Do they rapid cycle, meaning do they have 4 or more episodes in a year? What is the average length of time in between episodes? Is it short? Is it long? Keep an eye on this and let your partner know if you're seeing symptoms or warning signs of a bipolar episode coming on. Next, you need to understand what we need to manage our episodes. Now, there's a few key things. We need sleep, we need adequate nutrition, we need to avoid stress, and we need to incorporate things we enjoy in life into our lives. The number one thing is sleep. We need to sleep. It helps regulate our moods. So encourage healthy sleeping habits like a sleep routine or getting 9 hours every night. I know that we all love to call our partner late right before bed and nobody wants to get off the phone. No, you get off. No, you get off. Well, actually get off the phone so your partner has enough time to take a 9-hour snooze. Second thing is nutrition. Now, you cannot feel as well and your body cannot do its best to take care of you if you do not give your body the supplies it needs. This looks like eating fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and protein, whether you're a vegetarian or a meat eater. Get your protein. Drinking water. Dehydration can make you feel tired and depressed. And avoiding eating excessive junk food. I love snacks as much as the next person. I have Oreos, Wheat Thins, and Lay's chips in my drawer right now. However, it's hard to feel good if your stomach is upset because you've only been feeding it processed foods. So keep that in mind, encourage healthy eating, make sure you're giving your partner the ability to eat healthily, whether that's eating at home or choosing better meals at restaurants, whatever that is, just encourage that. And again, with all of this, I also advise not to be pushy or controlling. That is not helpful. We are not children. What we want is support and encouragement, not to be controlled. Third thing, make sure that we take our meds every day. I have an alarm to take my meds at the same time every night. Sometimes I get distracted, I hit the snooze button or I hit the off button and I don't end up taking them at the time I like to. Now I take my meds at 6:30 so that by 10:30 I'm ready to go to sleep because my meds make me feel sleepy. So it depends on everyone for what kind of medication you're taking, but encourage your loved one to take their meds and remind them at the certain time that they take it because that's helpful because sometimes we get distracted, you know, we're human. So that's something to keep in mind. The fourth thing, avoid stress, avoid causing stress, avoid stressful situations. If you know your loved one hates traffic, then make sure you don't go out and drive during rush hour. If your partner gets overwhelmed by large social gatherings, which in general you shouldn't be doing right now because of COVID anyways, but if your loved one who has bipolar disorder gets overwhelmed or anxious during large social gatherings, then try and avoid those situations. Go out in smaller groups or only hang out with people one-on-one. That also means don't cause strife within the relationship. You want to be the refuge for your partner, not the source of stress. I'm going to take a side note here. I have dated people who have caused more stress than was worth. That made my bipolar disorder worse because I was not able to take care of myself by sleeping enough or eating right, and because of emotional distress caused by an unhealthy romantic relationship. If you have bipolar disorder and you are dating someone who does not understand, does not care to try to understand, is not supportive, and causes you to not take care of yourself, then you need to leave. It's not going to get better. You need to take some time away so that you can take care of yourself because it is not worth it to have your bipolar disorder get out of control because of one person. There are plenty of people who will love you. Whether you believe that or not, there are plenty of people to love you for who you are. You do not have to stay with somebody who makes you feel second best or does not let you take care of yourself or causes you to be worse. Just trust me on that. Life is too short to waste time spending it with people who make you worse and make you unhappy. And we all have disagreements with our partners. We hurt each other's feelings or we disagree, but the important thing is that you discuss it. You don't have to fight, you don't have to argue, but you can discuss it, work it out like healthy, normal adults. That is indicative of a healthy relationship, working through your problems without distress. That being said, if you are dating somebody who has bipolar disorder, do not make them feel less than because of their mood swings or episodes. That is not okay. And if you're going to do that, then you should just do that person a favor and not date them. That is unkind. And if you can't handle it, that's fine. But do not make someone else feel bad for what you cannot handle. Do not stress your partner out unnecessarily. Do not blame your partner for their episodes. Do not blame them for their mood swings. We do not have control over it. You need to understand that we don't have a control over our moods. And because of that, you cannot take our moods or our snappiness or our episodes personally. You cannot fix them. You did not cause them. It is our brain chemicals. It is not you. Do not make it about you. That is not helpful. This is just something we have to deal with, and you just have to understand that we will be moody or we will have episodes sometimes. Continuing on past two side notes, the fifth thing that is to have things that are enjoyable. I know personally I get overwhelmed with trying to make it day by day or week by week, especially during episodes, and it was recently brought to my attention that I don't make time for my hobbies, and I had a positive experience in dating where somebody encouraged me to incorporate something that I really enjoy, which is sewing. And so I made these pants And I was really grateful for that. So that is something that is really helpful if you encourage your loved one to do things that are enjoyable. And I think that goes for anyone in any relationship, but that's especially helpful for people with bipolar disorder because sometimes it feels like life is not enjoyable because of what we go through, but it can be. Now, I'm not saying take our moods on as your problems. These are our problems. Your encouragement and support is helpful, but it is still up to us to deal with it. If you have good problem-solving skills, that is really helpful because sometimes people with bipolar disorder get overwhelmed and we need a clear, logical voice to say, oh, well, here's a solution to that. That doesn't mean that our feelings will go away, but it can help in certain situations, so keep that in mind as well. Side note, I mentioned this in my video talking about how to support your loved ones with bipolar disorder. You have to take care of yourself emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Whatever that looks like for you, you need to do it. Typically that's sleeping well, eating well, exercising, doing things you enjoy, going to church, praying, doing spiritual practices, meditating, and listening to and talking about your feelings. Now, our mood swings are out of our control, but we are still responsible for our behavior, and if something we do upsets you, whether we're in a mood or not, it is valid. Your feelings are valid. If your partner hurts your feelings during a mood swing or an episode, it is up to you to say, hey, that hurt my feelings, can we talk about it? Or, hey, that hurt my feelings, I really don't like it when you say that. It may be better to wait until a certain time when your partner's in the right space to talk about it and work through it, but it needs to happen. And if you keep things bottled up inside about things your partner does when they're having an episode, it is going to build up, it is going to cause resentment, and it will cause damage to your relationship. And because of that, I'm going to emphasize this statement. Just because we are having an episode or we are moody does not mean your problems take a backseat. Your feelings are just as valid as ours and they deserve to be listened to. And sometimes it may be a good idea to say to your partner who's having an episode, hey, something you said earlier kind of hurt my feelings. Will you let me know when you're in a good space to talk about it? That is a really great thing to do if you feel like your partner's not in a good spot and won't respond well. But it is up to you to bring it up. And if you don't, that is on you. And again, those of us with bipolar disorder, do not use your bipolar disorder as an excuse or a crutch to be cruel or unkind to your partner. Now, let's shift focus to the individual with bipolar disorder who is dating. You and your partner need to decide what to do in case of an episode, whether that is taking away weapons or taking away credit cards, especially when you're in a manic episode so you don't blow all your money. Whatever it is that you do when you're manic, you need to tell your partner so that you guys can figure out what safeguards to put in place to prevent some poor behaviors. Whether that's keeping you from buying hair dye or going to a tattoo or piercing place or making any other sudden appearance changes, that is up to you guys. And I know personally, I always want to dye my hair, I want to get a new piercing, I want to finally get the tattoo I've been thinking about, or I go to Hobby Lobby and I buy a bunch of things to be creative with, or I suddenly decide I'm going to start a new business venture, in which case it would be prudent for you and your partner to talk about taking away credit cards, keeping an eye on your partner's behavior when they're in a manic episode, and in a depressive episode it may look like making sure your partner does basic hygiene like showering, eating, sleeping, and drinking water. Whatever your partner has trouble with, you need to create a plan beforehand so that everything is understood. You may even need to write it down, but it's a really good idea to do that, especially if you are married and you have children. If you have joint accounts, I would suggest putting precautions in place so that you don't fight over things that your partner does while manic, such as blowing all your money or taking out loans or ruining credit score, stuff like that. So definitely keep that in mind, definitely talk about that. Just generally, it's a good idea to put off making major decisions when you're in an episode. So if your partner has bipolar disorder, just keep that in mind that you may have to say, wow, that's a great idea, let's wait. Now, during episodes, this is a very sensitive time. We are very emotional and moody. Again, it really depends on the person and how their episodes are. So checking on your partner every hour, every few hours, definitely once a day, calling them, saying, hey, how are you? Getting a feel for their state of mind over the phone. Maybe you stay in constant contact with them, whatever you feel you need to do to meet your partner's needs. Typically, episodes aren't so bad if you're medicated. Regardless, check in with your loved one and make sure that they're okay. If you're long distance, you can stay on the phone while you're working. I mean, I know a lot of people are working at home now, so if you're long distance, you can stay on over the phone while you're both working or while you're both studying, if you're in school or whatever, while you're driving. That is helpful to just stay in constant contact if it's not exhausting to you, if that's something you can do. That has been really helpful for me lately. Being checked on and having my feelings evaluated, it's really helpful and very supportive, and it feels like someone cares about me, and something you definitely want in a relationship. But whatever it is your partner needs, talk about it and figure it out so that you can meet their needs during their episodes. Moving on, to partners who are wanting kids in the future, realize that bipolar disorder is genetic, but if you both go through therapy and create a nurturing, loving environment free of trauma to the best of your ability, it is definitely possible to have a kid who does not have bipolar disorder, especially if it only runs in one person's side of the family. Now, if you have mental illness on both sides of the family, it's definitely more difficult, but still possible. But that is definitely something you need to talk with your partner about if you want kids, because that is a risk. Another thing, women who have bipolar disorder who get pregnant are more likely to have psychotic episodes during pregnancy and after birth. Women who are pregnant who have bipolar disorder need special care and attention because of the hormones going around and the stress and the changes in their body. And so it's really important to pay special attention and give special care to women who are pregnant with bipolar disorder, because their medication could affect baby's development, so they may have to switch their medication, which can be stressful or cause episodes. There's a whole lot that goes into that, so you definitely need to have a team of a psychiatrist, a therapist, and a doctor if you want to be pregnant and you have bipolar disorder. So just be aware that that would be something you'll need to consider. As I've said, I'm not engaged, I've never been engaged or married, and I don't have any kids. But for couples who do have kids and one or both of you have bipolar disorder, create a support network of friends and family that you feel comfortable with your children staying with. If you or your partner is having an episode, it may be a good idea to send the kids to a family member or a friend that they can stay with for a couple days during the worst of an episode. And if you have a larger network, then you won't have to worry as much about burdening one friend or family member too much with taking the kids. A bit of my personal experience dating people while having bipolar disorder episodes, and it can be very discouraging. I know that I personally felt like I was hard to love and that it was a burden to date me because I had bipolar disorder and I just tried to keep people away. I told myself I would never have kids because I never wanted to pass it on, but I've started to have a healing experience. I now know that I am lovable despite bipolar disorder, and I am worthy of love. Not only am I not a burden, but I am a positive influence in someone's life and I can bring happiness, and that's really healing for me. And if you've had really poor experiences, I just want to let you know there are good people out there, and it will not always be an awful relationship. It can be really wonderful. Having someone who asks questions, they want to understand what your bipolar disorder is like, how it affects you, how they can help. Someone who's compassionate and understanding and checks in on you. Someone who's loving and caring. Someone who loves you the same whether you're in an episode or not. Or someone who understands that your mood swings aren't personal. It's really enjoyable, and you can definitely have that experience. And I'm really sorry to those of you who have not had that experience, because I know how that is and it sucks. In experiencing the opposite, I have started to heal from that. I'm not hard to love. I am not my disorder, and that goes for you guys too. If you don't think that you can do all of this for someone who has bipolar disorder, then don't. It is not their fault if you cannot handle their bipolar disorder, and it is not a bad reflection of you if you just cannot handle it. It's just not within your capability, and that's fine. Don't try to force it. So I think I've covered it all. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I will definitely answer. If you have a particular situation and you need more one-on-one help, you can message me on Instagram. My socials are in the description below. If you want more content like this, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. If you want daily content, I do have a TikTok, and that's also in the description below, where I make jokes and informational videos on bipolar disorder. If you haven't watched my other videos, I suggest you go check those out because there's a lot of information in them. If you have a topic you would like me to cover, whether that's bipolar disorder or just related mental illnesses, put that in the comments, because that's what I've been doing the past couple of videos, and I'm happy to answer and do more in-depth videos on whatever topic you guys feel like you need. I think next video I'm going to talk about childhood warning signs for developing bipolar disorder, and also warning signs for an incoming episode. If you're looking forward to that, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.